Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello viewers, welcome back to this NPTEL course on ESD, Education for Sustainable Development. So, in the last class we are discussing about the different perspectives of sustainable development. So, to continue with that, now we will discuss the other perspectives, like for example, consumer decision effect. Realizing that the individual's consumer decision effect also give rise to the resource extraction and manufacturing in distant places. That means, the consumers habit of consumptions and consumer decision making, it also affects the sustainability, the resource extraction, resource depletion, resource consumptions. So, that is also another part of so of the sustainable development perspectives. So, how to make aware the consumers to have the sustainable consumption habits. Second is that, again, considering the different views before reaching to the decision or the judgment. Before taking any decision regarding the consumption, manufacturing, production, etc., we have to analyze the different perspectives, different alternatives, different options available to take a decision, final decision. So, recognizing the economic values, religious values and societal values compete for the importance as the people with different interests and backgrounds interact. So, when we talk about the cross cultural perspectives or the people from different background, different religious beliefs, values and societal values, they interact with each other. So, they also they have to recognize, they have to acknowledge the economic value, social value, and when they interact, so that different they are in different interests and backgrounds also yield some result on the environment, on the society. So, seeing all the humans as having some universal attributes, but we assume that across the globe, all the global citizens, they assume they possess some of the universal attributes, universal qualities and the values. So, again, technology, science, etc., alone cannot solve all our problems, but it has to be initiated at the public level, at the grassroots level, at the society level, at the human resource level. So, that is a public participation in the community, public awareness, public decision making ability, public conscience, all these kinds of things, it takes a major role in the decision making process. So, leading towards the sustainability. So, public awareness, how to make them aware regarding the sustainability and how it affects, how every action of our behavior, every action, every every activity in our life, it affects the sustainability of the society and the economic aspects, that we have to make them aware of, we have to educate them. So, how people's life are affected with individual with individual consumption habits and the decision making abilities. So, that is why the greater transparency is required, accountability is required both at the government level as well as the community level and the public level. So, calling for the greater transparency and accountability. So, here even at the home front, whatever we are consuming, the electricity, the power, the energy, we are consuming the water as a resource, we are consuming the space we are enjoying. So, everything should be accountable, everything should be very clear and transparent, and everything should be very much accountable. We are accountable, all of us, we are accountable towards the society, towards the environment, towards our economy, towards our government, etc. So, that is why governmental efforts should be of course a major effort, but people have to be, the public have to be educated from time to time to adopt this kind of living style and habits. Because sustainability perspective, sustainability viewpoint, sustainability habits, sustainability thinking pattern is a paradigm shift in our consciousness. So, that has to be made with a rigorous practice, recurrent education, recurrent information dissemination, all kinds of that, even monitoring and evaluation, mapping. So, all kinds of things, it should be a continuous flow of learning process, then only we can bring some changes in our society. And for that matter, government can also initiate some of the schemes, some of the tools to measure, to assess this impact with greater transparency, greater accountability and suitable measuring tools. So, that is another thing is that step to be taken by like employing the precautionary principles. Okay. How to avoid like this irreversible kind of environmental and social harms, like man-made disasters are there. Man-made disasters with especially in the hill stations, like frequent landslides, and because of the over construction, because of these even in the blockage of the drainage system, that means the drainage system is not very underground and very clear. So, because of the poor management of drainage system and over construction, overcrowded population and the buildings construction, buildings etc., without thinking about its impact on the environment, without thinking about its waste management system, drainage system etc. So, that creates a kind of the man-made disaster. So, how to curb it? So, for that matter we have to employ precautionary principles to avoid this kind of serious irreversible environmental problems, environmental effects through our scientific knowledge, through our technology, through our you can say educational programs. So, that is another thing. So, therefore, educators, leaders and the citizens, they recognize the sustainable development is an evolving concept. It is still evolving, it is still getting unfolded. So, a list of sustainability perspectives are there, and list of in n number of sustainability competencies from the minor to micro to macro level. So, we have to apply it, we have to think of it. So, again definitely it is the government's responsibility as well as the civil society's responsibility to build more sustainable futures, and almost both private sector, government, public, community people, and in their own way they should contribute towards a sustainable community. So, that is from awareness, information dissemination, awareness, training, workshop, orientation, at the same time policy level also, policy implementation, monitoring, evaluation, then principles, laws, legal actions also, and again accountability and transparency. These kind of concepts, these kind of principles and perspectives can enable us to take care of our planet and to move towards a sustainable future. However, UNESCO has already advocated for the Global Action Program, that is GAP, on ESD, and it states that this Global Action Program on ESD, it states that ESD allows every human being to acquire knowledge, skills, values and attitudes that empower them to contribute to the sustainable development and take informed decision, consensus decision, informed decision and responsible actions for the environmental integrity, economic viability and a just society for the present and the future generation. So, this is the GAP program slogan for ESD. Okay. So, therefore, ESD promotes skills like critical thinking, understanding the complex systems, imagining the future scenarios, making decisions in a participatory and collaborative way. So, these are the slogans, these are the slogans of UNESCO through Global Action Program. That is how ESD can mobilize, how ESD can promote these kind of critical thinking, deep contemplation, contemplative learning, transformative learning, to understand not only the complex system but also to imagine the future situations through analytics and making the decision, that is the judicious decision, right decision, informed decision, and to participate in the community activity, in a sustainable community activity in a collaborative way and a cooperative way. So, that we not only enjoy the sustainable present today, but we can also restore it for our future generations. So, this is the GAPS action program on the ESD. Now, coming to the development of sustainability competencies, at the same time GAP also highlighted certain learning outcomes, certain learning outcomes that stimulates the learning and promotes some of the not only the core competencies such as the critical and systemic thinking, the collaborative decision making and taking responsibility for the future generation, but at the same time it also advocates for other sustainability competencies. Okay. So, we will discuss about what are the key competencies, then and what are the other sustainability competencies. So, Wick et al. 2016 has analyzed some of the competencies. So, here we can say that the core competencies like critical and systems thinking, critical, whatever we are observing, we are witnessing, we are encountering, we are facing the issues and challenges, we have to critically evaluate its pros, cons, background, cause, effect, strengths, weaknesses, its all kinds of aspects we have to critically evaluate it. And systemic thinking means we have to give a holistic perspective of what is happening. It is not just happening to us, to our state, to our people, to our village, our community, but holistically. At a large, at a global level, why it is happening, what is the implication, what are the implications, what are the cause, what are the effect, what is going to be the future condition of these things. So, it is a systemic thinking means a holistic perspective, evaluating something, reflecting on something on as a whole, as a system, as a system that is called the systemic thinking. So, critical and systemic thinking, collaborative decision making, that is mutually conducive, mutually helpful, eco-friendly, affordable, then you can say viable and viable, these kind of decision making, so that we take the responsibility not only for our present, but also future generations. So, these are some of the core competencies. But besides that, what are the other key competencies that V. Kittel has advocated, like anticipatory competency. Anticipatory, that is we can make from the evaluation to by understanding the situation and evaluation, we can predict something, we can assume something which is possible, probable and desirable, to create our own vision for the future. So, evaluate the multiple options, then and explore the possible, probable and desirable solutions to create our own vision for the future, to apply the precautionary principles, being proactive, being well informed, being able to assess and evaluate the consequences of every action, and to deal with the risk and changes. So, here not only anticipating what is forthcoming, but also preparing ourselves, from being proactive in dealing with all kinds of thinking, we assess the consequence, the intensity of actions, intensity of the consequence of the actions, and to deal with the risk and changes proactively. Then normative competencies. So, normative competency is that the ability to understand, reflect on the norms and values that underlie one's actions. Because certain community, like yes, culture is a factor, cultural practices, cultural values, systems, practices, these are definitely measure important factors. But we have to analyze it, what are the inherent meaning behind these cultural norms, behind every norms and the values that underlie one's action. What are the actually causes, we have to reflect on it, deeply contemplate on it, what are the reasons, behind certain norms and the values that underlie one's action, and to negotiate sustainability values. Maybe that because some of the traditional some traditional values are going on, maybe. So, we need to understand their background, we need to understand their cases, then we have to negotiate with them with the sustainability values. How important it is, sustainability values, to adopt it to the principles, goals and targets. So, and again in the context of conflict of interest and trade-offs, also uncertain knowledge and contradiction. In this process, definitely we are going to face some kind of dilemma, conflicts, controversies, some kind of conflict of interest, some clashes, some trade-offs, that means economical, financial trade-offs. So, uncertain knowledge and contradictions also we may face it, but how to resolve it, again how to resolve it. So, to analyze all kinds of the norms and the rules and values and the background of it, try to justify the actions. If it is not sustainable, if it is unsustainable, then we have to negotiate with the sustainability values by incorporating or inculcating the sustainable goals, targets and principles among the community, among the people. And for that matter, we have to face argument, controversies, conflict of interest, but at the end we have to resolve this conflict towards a sustainable solution. So, that is the normative competency. So, how efficiently we can do it, how efficiently we can evaluate the norms and values of the society, how we can reflect upon it, and if we found that this is not unsustainable, then how to convert it, how to transform into a sustainable pattern. Similarly, strategic competency. Strategic competency is the ability to collectively develop and implement innovation actions and that further sustainability at the local level and further like technology innovation and technology are there, how to leverage these things, to think of, to apply new strategies or use it strategically, not only for the eco-friendly actions, but also more production in the field of agriculture, in the energy sector, in the water treatment sector, in the waste management sector, in the marine life sector. So, how to leverage technology and innovation and further to enhance our activities or all kinds of activities in a more sustainable way, both at the local level and the global level. So, strategic competencies, ability to collectively develop and implement innovative actions, leveraging our technology, leveraging our knowledge, leveraging our resources. So, to strategically use that ability competency to enhance the sustainability both at the local level and at the future and at the global level. So, in all kinds of fields, starting from agriculture to health to manufacturing to business to all kinds of things. Then collaborative competence, how can we collaborate with each other to understand different perspective, to understand mutual needs, perspective, actions of others, how to be empathetic, how to understand others' perspective. So, again leadership qualities are also required, conflict resolution qualities are also required. So, how to build up this collaborative and participatory problem solving approach. So, whatever issues and challenges and problems that we are facing, we have to, all of us, we have to develop the collaboration competency, so that we can work together, work together with empathetic and creative and understanding each other's perspective, mutual benefit, and for a common good, common well-being, and how we can resolve the conflicts in a very judicious and win-win solution. So, here every individual need to develop this kind of competencies. So, that is a nowadays group learning, teamwork, these are being promoted. Why? Because it enables the individual to develop this collaborative competency. So, collaborative competency. Similarly, critical thinking competency, as we have already repeated it again and again, critical thinking ability, systemic thinking. That means, whatever that we should not be complacent, we should not be very satisfied what is going on. It's okay, it's okay for me, it's okay for my family. We cannot be so complacent and self-satisfied with our fulfillment of our own individual goals, because sooner or later it is going to affect our life, the society, whatever it is happening in the society, sooner or later it is going to affect our life. Hence, we have to be very vigilant, we have to be very cautious, we have to be very critical about what is going on in terms of asking the questions, questioning the norms, the practices, the opinions, and reflect this in the social networking platform. So, analyzing judging evaluating the perception and actions, and how it affects the society. In terms of the critical discourse, sustainability discourse, and the dialogue and social networking also, we can also ventilate it, we can also communicate it, we can also convey it. So, critical thinking competence, because every individual has the right to critically evaluate the things and give their opinion. So, how, but the critical thinking competencies should go in a very positive way, it should be constructive, not to distract, not to create a kind of disassociation or criticism, but to make others aware of its side effects of any policy, any strategy, any solution, any kind of habits. So, for this critical thinking, developing the critical thinking competencies, the people should be trained again and again, educated from time to time in a group setup with the critical evaluation, or assigning them some kind of social issues, some challenges. So, through critical and sustainable discourse, dialogue, debate, etc., this kind of competencies should be developed, could be developed. So, it has to be inculcated, incorporated, included in the education system itself from the very beginning. Okay. So, that is why in the school level also, from the very beginning we promote critical thinking and creative thinking among the children. What does it mean? The child can from the very beginning, the child can think independently, child can think critically, child can think of other options independently, without depending on what is going on, what is happening, or what has been prescribed to him. independent thinking, creative thinking and critical evaluation, critical thinking. So, self awareness competency, again we must be aware of what we are actually doing in our own sphere, in our own space. So, ability to reflect on one's own role both at the local level and the global level in the society, and continuously evaluate and to further motive one's action and to deal with one's feelings and desires. Suppose, so we are in terms of our consumptions, in terms of our cleanliness habit, in terms of our production, in terms of purchase power, in terms of shopping behavior, in terms of utilization of the resources like the food, energy, water, these things, how we are actually we are doing all these things, how we are consuming, how we are behaving, we ourselves must be very reflective and conscious about it. So that we can very well judge, evaluate our own behavior and habits and its impact on the environment, so that we can be more conscious to adopt a kind of sustainability habits. So, that is why self awareness competency, how much aware we are regarding our own behavior, its impact on others in our learning habits and sustainability habits. So, then integrated problem solving competencies. So, integrated problem solving competence, that is, it is an overarching ability to apply the different problem solving frameworks, like for solving different kinds of problem, environmental problem, technical problem, social problem, communication problem, interpersonal relationship problem. So, we can apply different kind of frameworks, problem solving frameworks to not only understand the complex issues of the society, issues and challenges, but also it can develop a viable and inclusive and equitable solution, which is very flexible, dynamic, viable, inclusive. It takes into account others' perspective, their opinion. An equitable solution, that means it will yield the result equally beneficial to all the stakeholders. So, to promote the sustainable development. So, integrated problem solving competencies, we cannot adopt one strategy for solving all the problems. For that, we need to understand the complexity of the problems and accordingly develop the different frameworks to solve it. So, those solutions will be very viable, inclusive, equitable and consensus oriented, and it can yield the sustainable development, and it can give a win-win kind of situation or beneficial solutions, integrating all the positive options, competencies, etc. So, it will be an equitable and inclusive and viable solution to everybody in the community. Okay. So, we have to again, so that is how we need to develop kind of perspectives on understanding the complex problems, complex social problems, financial problems like economic crisis or social conflict or any kind of pandemic or any kind of natural disaster. We have to understand from different perspective, not from one dimension. Its geographical perspective, scientific perspective, natural perspective, human perspective, technology perspective. So, from different perspective we have to analyze and understand the whole complexity of the problems, then we have to develop different frameworks for solving those problems with with consensus, with debate, with dialogue, with with analysis, critical thinking, analysis and synthesis, and with creative solutions which will be not only viable, but inclusive. That means it should be equitable, it should be approved, acceptable to all the stakeholders, so that it can give a long lasting sustainable solution to our problems. So, now the key competencies and the performance of sustainable citizens. Now, here we can say sustainability performances and the sustainable key competencies. So, sustainable key competencies, knowledge and skills, definitely one dimension, and the values and the motivation. So, values and motivation, as we have already discussed, that it relates to our affective domain. So, knowledge and skills, it relates to our cognitive domain, intellectual domain. So, we must understand, we must think, we must learn. And affective value and motivations, it relates to our emotional aspects, affective aspects. We must feel good, we must feel that it is an urgent, it is having an urgency at the present time. So, values and how much global values that we adopt, being the global citizen, global values, ethical values and motivation. So, that is, it is our affective domain, that is we have to mobilize, we have to recharge our affective domain in strengthening our value system, and developing the positive values, global values, universal values, and motivate self motivations in internal intrinsic motivation. It is required to move forward, to put our effort, to learn to new things, to unlearn unsustainable habits, and to learn new things. And also we can also motivate other people also, other stakeholders, educate them or motivate the other people, and the opportunities, so that we can create the more and more opportunity to develop the sustainable strategies, competencies, etc. So, what are the opportunities available, and with these things how can we develop the different opportunities, so that we can perform actually in a sustainable way. So, our actions will be sustainable in terms of creating more opportunities for all, in terms of taking care of our planet, in terms of strengthening our ecosystem, economic growth also. So, these are the opportunities. So, the sustainable key competencies, it has the 3 primary circle, primary domains, we can say, as it has been given by the UNESCO 2018, knowledge and skills. So, it also includes the education, training, all kinds of things. Values and motivation, it includes our principles, our ethics, our emotions, emotional attachment, emotional conscience, our conscience, then emotional responsibility that we are taking, we are keen. So, motivating others, self motivation, as well as motivating community people through different awareness program, initiative, self initiated some kind of education, non-formal educational programs. So, and the opportunities, what are the opportunities available and how we can leverage it. So, these are we are also looking for the different opportunities, and how, like, technology is an opportunity. Through technology also we can do many things. So, but how to utilize it properly. So, these kind of things, this is the key competencies cycle as advocated by UNESCO. So, now the implications of ESD for the practice of education and pedagogy, the whole institution approach. Now, here to achieve, to learn, to acquire these key competencies, core competencies and the key competencies and other sustainability competencies, the ESD advocates for a whole institution approach, that is holistic perspective. Whole institution approach means starting from the governance, policy, capacity building, training, to we can say the community partnership, relationship, all these things, and again from there to curriculum, teaching, learning, training, and the facilities and operations and the infrastructure in the school level. So, it is a whole institution approach, it is an ESD approach. So, which that is the education for sustainable development, living what we learn. So, that means what we are saying we are actually performing. So, walking the talk, talking about the talk the walk and walk the talk, okay, that is kind of thing. So, usually at the leadership stage we used to expect that the leaders, whatever the leader says, he actually performs, and whatever he performs, he actually says those things. So, similarly, we being the major stakeholders of the sustainable society, so we might have to adopt a whole institution approach, where so everything, like in a whole institution, in the school you can take for example a school. So, definitely school has the governance, is the administration, policy, then capacity building, training from the teaching staff, non-teaching staff, all kinds of things. So, this is, so it has to be one aspect, and sustainability should be incorporated there also. Thereafter, again schools relationship with the community participations, community participation relationship with the other stakeholders, other all other prominent persons, major stakeholders like the panchayats, the BDA, block development, the health, the primary health center, the hospitals, and other kinds, or NGOs working in this area. So, community development, participation and relationship building, that is through the networking, that is also another domain. There also we have to work. Then third is that the curriculum, teaching, learning, it has to be in terms of curriculum, content, practice, teaching, training, learning, all these things. Then another is the infrastructure, in terms of the facilities, in terms of school operation, administration, and the infrastructure, starting from the solar energy panels to wind energy to green market, to green jobs, to green habits, to green cell, to everything. That means going green, that means how eco-friendly as much as, that means that we have to take the responsibility of emitting the zero carbon, you can say carbon neutral or even the zero carbon to protect our environment. So, this is kind of whole institution approach, we will discuss further later on. Now, at this moment I am just completing it in here, finishing it in here. So, we will resume it in the next class. Thank you very much.